continue to shop as you please and put things in your cart and leave it there. And the point is not just for you to stop buying stuff. The point is for you to sit in the discomfort of not clicking buy now and see what comes up. Are you feeling restless? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling frustrated? Like, that's what I'm curious about. This is your Kick-Ass Life podcast, episode number 319.
This is the Your Kick-Ass Life podcast with Andrea Owen, a no BS guide to self-help and badassery. Because ladies, let's face it, life's too short for it to not kick ass. And here's your host, the girl who serves it up straight with a side of crazy, Andrea Owen.
Hey there, ass kickers. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am so glad that you are here. So I have another coaching episode for you today, and the topic is on money. And yes, a few months ago, we had Melanie on and I coached her around her money topic. And I decided to have another person on talking about this because this is a topic that can vary widely depending on who you are, depending on what your quote unquote money story is, depending on what your habits are, what your behaviors, all of those things. It really can make a difference depending on the person. So I decided to have Erica on, and I have a feeling a lot of you are going to relate with what she has to say about how she feels about money, how she wants to change her mindset around money. So sit tight. I think so many of you are going to love this episode. There is a couple of things that she mentions in this episode. She mentions being in my group program called the Mentorship. And as it so happens, we are opening up applications a little bit early to people who are on the early bird list, and that is you, people that listen to my podcast. So head on over to yourkickasslife.com/mentorship. You can read all about this program there and sign up to be notified as soon as I open applications. And depending on when you're listening to this, applications might already be open. We start at the end of March. And this program, it's my signature program. I put everything I have into this. It is a group course where you would be with other women just like you. And if you loved or even liked very much, if you have a fondness for my book, How to Stop Feeling Like Shit, then even if you just like this podcast, if you haven't read my book, How to Stop Feeling Like Shit, then you will love this program. It is implementation instead of just listening to the podcast or reading a book and then putting away and thinking to yourself like, oh, that sounds nice. And then wondering why you're so frustrated when something happens and you don't handle it very well, or you start numbing out again when you've done okay for a week or two, or your inner critic is going crazy. All of those things. It teaches you better coping mechanisms, as well as gives you a map, a North Star, if you will. That's where we start in the very beginning about what's important about the way that you live your life. What is the type of person, who is the type of woman that you want to show up as every day in your life? It's a step-by-step process. And shame resilience. Yes, we do go a little bit deeper into this program to talk about these things. I've combined my training in the Daring Way, the methodology from Dr. Brené Brown, as well as my coach training, years and years of experience, and have created this curriculum that I've taught, I think 5 or 6 times now. It is my heart and soul of the work that I do. So if you're looking for an affordable way to work with me and you love being around like-minded spirits, I encourage you to head on over to yourkickasslife.com/mentorship. Erica, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Andrea. Happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you. As I was telling people in the intro, you were in my signature group program, the Mentorship, and I knew when it was time for me to have somebody else come on the show to be coached. I'm like, you know who's really awesome and I bet has something she would love to bring to the listeners is Erica. So thank you again for being here. And why don't you introduce yourself, tell people where you're from and what you do.
Sure. My name is Erica and I am from Toronto, or as Drake likes to call it, from the Six, for those of you who've never heard that before.
What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
I think because there's 6, I know I probably should have known that before I even said that. I think because there's 6 there's 6 different areas that make up Toronto. So he,
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, which I should know what they are, and I don't.
It's some pop culture thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So for a long, like random answer, and I'm an executive assistant, and I work in the insurance industry. So if you like think of like Andy from The Devil Wears Prada, that's sort of what I do for a living.
Oh, okay.
But in much more work than what they show there. They kind of don't really show how much assistants do. And what else? I like reading. I like yoga, and with my husband, and that's about it. Yeah, I wish I had some more interesting facts, but no.
Well, okay.
And I kick ass.
Stop you right there. So, yes, you kick so much ass. You love personal development.
Yes.
You work very hard and diligently on yourself and your marriage. And I knew that it was going to be great having you on. And what's interesting is that this topic, when you handed it to me, I was like, well, we already had someone on. If anyone remembers, it was several months ago. Melanie was on the podcast talking about money. But I think that money is always nuanced and it's very personal. And I feel like y'all are telling me that this is an area that you struggle in. And I know that it is something that so many people, I hate using the word issues, but we have issues around money. Money and sex are 2 of the biggest things that people struggle with. And I don't think that they're unrelated. We're not going to talk about sex today. I don't know. We might. Who knows? Like, the night is still young. Who knows? But where I would love to start is that I would love you to read your own words when I asked the question. What I do is have people fill out kind of an application. It's more of a questionnaire when they're going to come on the show to be coached. And the question I ask is, briefly name a topic you're struggling with that you would love coaching on. And what did you say?
I wrote everything to do with finance. I can't get over these limiting beliefs that I have about money. I suck at it. I will never be a good financial planner. I can't get it right. I can't get ahead, etc. I consider myself great at my job and a lot of other things that I do, but this demon is one I cannot seem to beat. I need to put myself first, acknowledge all that I've done to get better with this, and stop hanging on to past mistakes on my shopping and spending habits. I just seem stuck and I cannot move ahead. For example, I have tons of finance books. Why have I not read them or got halfway through them and stopped?
Okay. I want to pause for a moment because I wonder if anyone listening heard something. I do feel like there's 2 chunks to this paragraph that you wrote. Did you see anything interesting about this reading it back to me?
Absolutely.
What is that?
The limiting beliefs and just my inner critic completely shouting.
Yes. And I see that you are allowing your inner critic to have it be absolute. So you're saying, I can't get over these limiting beliefs that have to do with money. I suck at it. I will never be a good financial planner. I can't get it right. I can't get ahead. And then at the end, or towards the end, you say, I just seem stuck and I cannot move forward. Like that to me is like waving the red flags that you seem stuck in this belief, like you are married to it. It sounds like that you are a certain way about money.
It's very black and white. There's no in between. It's very extreme. It's like about 0 out of 100. It's 100. There's no, absolutely couldn't agree more.
Do you notice that when you're chatting about it with your husband or your friends or even with yourself?
I think what happened was like after the mentorship, like I knew I had to deal with that. But at that time, I'm like, I need to deal with the bigger bears first and then deal with that. But after the mentor, that's when the awareness all started to come in. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, why am I saying that? Then why am I talking like that? And my best friend would even say that. She's like, why are you so hard on yourself about this? Like, you're doing very well. And that I'm just not giving myself enough credit and acknowledging, all the progress I have made with it and how well I have been doing is, I have no debt. I have savings. It's just, it's very in my head. It's like, no, you suck. No.
Okay. Again, this always happens to me when I'm coaching. It's like the little bubbles pop up in like 2 different directions to go. One of the bubbles is actually more of just an observation that I have and a suggestion is that and I'm so glad that you dealt with the bigger bears and that now you're here. And this is really how personal development looks a lot. But is when you find yourself saying that, like, I can't get over these limits, when you're very much in the dichotomous thinking of it, it's either one or the other, is to catch yourself and rephrase it. Because it goes back to that saying, whatever you say you are, you are. And you are reinforcing these beliefs about yourself. And if nothing else, they feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, they feel like shit.
Absolutely.
Even if you are someone who has no debt, like regardless of if you're $100,000 in debt or if you have no debt, you telling yourself, I can't get over these limiting beliefs about money. I suck at it. I'm never going to change. That feels shitty. So what if you could redirect your thoughts and what comes out of your mouth, and sometimes on paper in this case, and say, I am challenged by finances.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's funny because even when I said like I have no debt, I just realized I felt like I had to justify it somehow, like in my head, if that makes any sense. Like,
what did it sound like in your head?
Like in my head, it's like, well, I suck at money, but wait, I have no debt. It's like, I have to, I don't know, like I'm trying to I don't know if that's a way of trying to get through it or if it's trying a way to beat my limiting thoughts, but I just found it interesting that I felt like I had to justify something of how I said that. You know what I mean?
Is it kind of like you're almost arguing with yourself or something else?
Yes. It's like, I don't know if I'm trying to like beat the inner critic or I'm just like, it's, I don't know, like it's like when some people say they want to lose weight, they're like, well, I didn't do well today, but I went to the gym 2 days ago. Like they're trying to talk themselves out of it. I don't know. I'm trying to get through my head somehow. I'm not sure if I'm communicating it properly.
Well, no, I love that you are noticing your thoughts and getting curious about it.
Yes.
That to me is a huge win, instead of just plowing over them and just like, oh, none of it really matters. Like if it's specifically an issue that you're trying to work on, get curious about it. It might mean something really interesting and insightful, and it might mean nothing at all. But again, like what I want you to do is to challenge the limiting beliefs that you have by rewording it. So, you can say, finance isn't the thing I'm an expert at. Or I want to get better at this because I don't feel like I'm the best at it. Do you see what I mean? Like I used to use this analogy a long time about like if you look at yourself in the mirror and just don't like what you see, instead of beating yourself up for it, you could say something like, I'm not going to win the beauty pageant today, but I sure as shit could be runner up.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like second place is still a winner. And it could be the same with this.
Absolutely.
I think the next thing that I wanted to ask you about is that you also went on to say that when you do acknowledge yourself, you have made small turtle steps, you have an automatic thing that puts some money in savings, and you follow all of that up by saying, however, I feel that the urge to spend always comes back. Immediately when I read that, my question to you is this bad?
In my eyes, yes, because it's
okay.
Yeah, because
I'm talking about just having the urge.
Yes.
Are you making up that that's bad?
Yes. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Because I shouldn't be doing that. It's like, well, if you have to, why do you want to spend money when you shouldn't be spending money? Like how are you good at finance if it's like you want to go online shopping or you want to go to like walk and buy these fancy cards that you don't need and spend $30? It's I'm
curious, like, what do you make up? Like, what are you making up that people who are good at finance, like, I don't know, is there someone that you follow online or listen to their podcast that you deem that they are really, really good at finance? Is there anyone we can use as an example?
I do like Jen Sincero. I have her book. I'm halfway through it. It's good because I've been thinking a lot because she does exercise in the book, right? And really taking my time with it because I'm like, yeah, there's definitely some stuff I need to unravel here.
Okay, sure. So you in your mind make up that she has it figured out regarding her finances.
Yes.
And does it occur to you that this is a person who has been working on that particular topic, specifically about money, I would say for maybe almost a decade?
Yeah, now that you say this out loud, it makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's literally her job now.
Yes.
To do that. Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And do you think that it's all relative, right? Like I know Jen personally, and she's talked about, she has a 7-figure business. So she has more money than most, but I do, and I don't know this for sure, but I do imagine that people that have that kind of salary probably end up spending more money on things. Who knows? Maybe she's sucking it all away under mattresses and burying it in her backyard for all we know. But I think with that comes bigger mortgages, bigger car payments, vacations, et cetera, et cetera. So I wonder, do you think that people who are in that position, do you think that they never kind of get to a place where like, oh, I spent a lot of money this month. Like, my savings is dwindling down. Do you think they never get there?
I guess so. Yeah. Just because I guess I put them on some type of pedestal and I'm like, right. I'm the minion and they're the expert. So there's no way that they have thoughts like I do. There's no way that they do what I do. So yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. I probably do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm come back to the question, like what else do you make up that people like that either do or don't do in terms of finances, and more specifically their thoughts?
Well, I view it as like probably perfectionist tendencies. Like they're perfect at it. They know they're in control. They don't let distractions get in the way. They have their path that they're going on. Like they put their funds away for retirement. They put their stuff in savings. I just think that, like, I just feel like I can't be that. It's that's how it's very extreme thinking. Very, actually, now that I say this out loud, I'm totally seeing where you're going with this. I totally see what's happening now.
I was totally leading the witness.
Yeah.
That's what we're not supposed to do as coaches, but I break rules.
No, but you're right. That's what I do. It's very, and I don't know if it's just a society pressure. It's just like, we have to be so good at everything. We have to we have to weigh a certain amount. We have to have this much money in the bank. It's just very, and I'm like, if I'm not there, it's especially just more with the money. I would say for myself, the money aspect is just like,
yeah, it's the whole, like, we have to have our shit together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, it's like, this is the one area where I'm like, wow, I gotta really clean up here, because it's like, I'm not going to get anywhere if I keep thinking like this. But you're right. It's very extreme thinking.
Well, and like that, what just came out of your mouth when you said, like, I need to really clean up here. That is one of those sort of vague statements that can be extraordinarily impactful to your thoughts and behaviors without you even knowing it. So it's like, get your shit together, clean this up, get over this, deal with this. Like, it can sound kind of, arbitrary, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, what that means is exactly what you just said. Well, I need to be perfect about it.
Yeah.
Right. And circling back to what I was asking you, I'm assuming that part of that whole thing about what you just, clean it up is what you said, is part of that never having urges to spend.
Yeah. But I know that's not realistic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a difference between, so for instance, as someone who has struggled with addiction, and I get the question a lot, do you ever have the urge to drink again? Fuck yes, I do.
Yeah.
But it's very few and far between. And of course, like when it comes with addiction, there are things that we need to do when we have that happen. And I say that because if I ever feel like, if I beat myself up for ever having the feeling, like the urge, then that's really not growth and progress. What I do instead is that I get curious about it. And I don't make myself wrong for having it happen, because I'm a human being that is complicated, and then figure out from there. So it's a lot easier to grow and have so much self-awareness, and then get better at the thing you're wanting to get better at when you're not beating yourself up for it, and when you allow space for gray area and nuance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, it just clicked now. Exactly. Because it's actually, if I think that, I want to go shopping, instead of being like, you can't do that, be like, okay, what's going on here? Why do you want to do that? What is happening? And dive deeper into it.
Yeah. While it might not be the best idea for you to, and I'm just using this as an example. I'm not going to say like, don't spend $30 on cards, but it might not be the best use of your funds to do that. I think my suggestion is that don't make yourself wrong for it. It's just like, I guess what I'm trying to ask you very verbosely is, what if having the urge to spend was just having the urge to spend? What if it wasn't bad?
Well, I never thought of it that way before. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely. I know. I just honestly, I'm having a moment right now. I never even thought of it that way before at all. Because in my mind, it's like, nope, you're bad. Why would you do that? You can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially I'm thinking of people who are really struggling with deep addictions, whether it's to food or alcohol or shopping or whatever it is, like especially the very first few months of it can be excruciatingly painful. And when you think about someone like that, like say it was your best friend and she was really struggling to break an addiction. If she came to you and said, I thought about drinking today, or I thought about, eating an entire cheese pizza because I was so upset. Would you chastise that person?
No, you should because whatever you would say to them, that's what, and probably I'm not really giving myself even self-compassion. It's right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cause I wouldn't talk to her, my best friend, as I would to myself. I'd be like, hey, it's okay. Don't worry. We'll get through it. What can I do? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put the assignment on you. I know that you are really good about doing your own work. In what we have just talked about over the last 20 minutes or so, what do you think would be helpful for you to dig into regarding this topic so far?
I think that the first thing that keeps popping up in my head is I have to acknowledge the steps I have taken, because I'm not giving myself any credit for that. So I need to just write it down. And also
like a list of everything you've accomplished regarding your finances.
Yeah. I just feel like that's just screaming at me right now, because I just don't give myself credit for that. And I should. And not because it's like the self award, but it's like, I am trying to some baby turtle steps, as we always said in the mentorship, right? Shout out to my ladies, by the way, who did the mentorship. Awesome.
Oh, good. They're such a great group. You guys are always such a great group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sorry. So I'll write them down, but I need to deal with the language I'm using and the thought process. Exactly. So if I don't, because I guess in the States, you guys have Rakuten, right? Like the shopping.
I don't know what that is.
It's so what you do is if you do online shopping, you get maybe it's just in Canada, you get dollars for you do your normal shopping, right?
Another way to get you to spend more.
Totally, right? Totally.
Okay.
So I guess I had a thought now. I totally lost track of where I was going with it. But I need to, So sorry, back to your question. This is what I do. I totally go sideways. Okay. I need to acknowledge what I'm doing. But I need to figure out, replace the limiting beliefs that I'm having. So exactly, if I see the Rakuten email come up and be like, oh, I could save 7.5%, get cash back on this thing, and be like, and I want to go look, and I look, and let's just say I do, let's just say I go to a site and look and be like, it's okay. So what's happening? Take a step back, maybe put the thing in the cart even and just save it there. But just really dig into
give it 24 hours.
Yeah. I need to give myself, and I need to, like you said, I need to go through the thought process of what exactly it is, and not beat myself up for it. That if I did go and take the bait, I guess you could say, don't beat myself up for it. Because I like writing. So I need to do something that involves writing it out. I find that works a lot for me.
That's what I was going to suggest. And I'm glad that you said it first. So here's what I have down so far. So we talked about changing your black and white thoughts, and if they come out of your mouth, regarding where you're at with your finances. Again, like you were saying, I can't get over these limiting beliefs that I have about money. Like you could change that to, I'm working on getting over these limiting beliefs that I have about money. Okay. And then make a list of what you've accomplished regarding your finances.
Yes.
What are you going to do to celebrate that?
Not spend money. No,
I was going to say maybe that doesn't involve, or something. I was thinking it might be cute to get some Monopoly money or something and make a crown out of it.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you just said that. That is so the universe talking, because I've been very obsessed lately with queens and something else I want to do on the side, and crowns. I cannot believe you just said that. That's so the
oh my gosh.
Speaking to
how
me.
Serendipitous.
Yeah, very. So yeah,
okay.
Definitely maybe I should create something that represents this work. And oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. That's just, sorry, I'm just having a moment. The universe is totally talking to me right now.
I love it. Well, what I imagined was, I don't know if they have this in Canada, but here in the States, when I was a kid and we'd go eat at Burger King, they would do these the crown, Burger King crowns, because it was the king, he was the Burger King.
Yes.
And you could tape Monopoly money off it or do something fun like that. I would wear the shit out of that.
Oh, totally. No, this is so happening. This is so happening. I am totally making a creative project of a crown right now. I cannot believe you just said that.
Or the Flavor Flav clock. Instead of that, you could have just a big dollar sign. Something fun, but again, whatever works for you. Don't do it just because I said.
No, for sure.
But good, not just a list of what you've accomplished, but to celebrate it.
Absolutely, I love that.
And then the last thing I have so far is for you to maybe journal on the concept of, what if having the urge to spend is okay?
Yes.
And you just sort of like in meditation where they teach us when the thoughts come in, just look at them like clouds. They're just passing and then just let them pass. Mm-hmm. So that's what might be. Maybe you view your money urges as that and just get curious about it. If you want to dig deeper, which I know that you love to do, maybe think about what else is going on. Like, are you stressed? Are you happy? Just kind of maybe to connect the dots as to why you want to spend. Mm-hmm. You might not connect any dots. Like it might just be you want to spend because you love it.
Absolutely.
That might be helpful. There's one more thing I wanted to ask you. It might not just be one thing, but there's an additional thing that when you talked about in your questionnaire where I asked what kind of resolution or experience are you expecting from our call together? And you said something that jumped out at me. You said, I also want to get deep on this deeper issue of why I know what I need to do to change. I start it and then stop. Mm-hmm. You said, I am really sick and tired of this behavior. The thing that popped into my head when I read that was, and the question I have for you is, can you accept and love yourself if this is how it will continue to be? Like if this is how your growth is just going to look in kind of fits and spurts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is definitely where the self-compassion kicks in for sure. I have to stop beating myself up about this because this is just not getting anywhere.
I'm going to stop you there because I hear that a lot in personal development, like the whole, like, I have to stop beating myself up for it. And the turtle step before you stop beating yourself up for it is realizing when you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like I feel like I'm like right. I'm being the hare right now. I'm running to the end of the finish line. Where it's like, no, go back to the turtle. Start from scratch. Yeah. I've definitely. But even as I'm saying this out loud, because you always said about me, like when I talk, I start to figure my stuff out.
You do. You walk in like one big circle, which a lot of people do. Totally. Yeah, not everybody, but some people do that when they talk it out.
Yeah, and I now I get what you're saying. It's that because even before this call started, like now it's totally. I feel like it's a full circle. Like a light bulb went off of how I'm running straight. Where it's like. Just let's back up. Let's back up and start from scratch. Yeah.
I think kind of the theme of this is acceptance, is accepting the whole process and what your behaviors look like. Because I think a lot of us in personal development, we want our growth to look linear.
Yes.
And it never does. It never does. I have had so many clients, and myself included, where our growth is a messy line and it's also in fits and spurts. So we might have this big breakthrough and then we go backwards, or we start and stop things. We read half of a self-help book and put it away and then beat ourselves up for it. This self-help is messy, and we don't want it to be messy because the rest of our life is messy and we want relief from that. But as soon as you can accept that personal development is not linear, it might come in fits and spurts, it's not going to look a certain way, then sometimes you can sort of ease up on flooring it on the gas pedal.
Like even when you said this is what, like, accept the process and behaviors, what the behaviors look like, I actually cringe when you said that, because I'm like, well, okay, but they're not good behaviors. But I totally get what you're saying, because like that's clearly obviously an issue where it's like, exactly, you have to see how the whole thing plays out. You can't exactly one day I have like this spending urge and I want to spend money on nonsense, just be like, okay, it's okay. Then instead of being like, no, you can't do that, and then beat yourself up and go in the whole circle and do it anyway. So yeah, I felt that very interesting, that I cringed when you said that.
Have you ever gone like around Halloween? Have you ever gone through a haunted house?
No, because I hate Halloween.
Like one of the ones where you pay, like not like a legit one out in like the boonies somewhere, but like one where you pay. You never have?
No, I hate Halloween. I hate it. I hate it.
Okay. Well, I've been to several of them, and I'm gonna tell you what it kind of looks like when you go in. Okay. Like you are kind of nervous going in, but like you're relatively safe. Like, no one's going to really murder you. You go in and then you stop and scream because something jumps out at you. And then you might like try to go backwards and like, I'm out of here. But you keep going forward very slowly, usually, unless you have the ability to run, but typically you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a lot of pausing and screaming. Like, this is how I see this whole process for you.
Totally. That's the perfect.
Not to sound dramatic.
No, it's the perfect example. I couldn't have said it any better. I'm like, that's exactly how it, and that's probably why I avoid those damn haunted houses. I did when I was a kid and I never went back. I'm like, no, this is the worst thing ever. And this is exactly.
I don't recommend it. Like, if you really don't want to do it, then don't do it.
I hate it. Like, even there's like, I think, I don't know now, like escape rooms are the big thing. And I'm like, I don't even want to do that because I feel like it's somehow related to the haunted.
Oh, forget it. No, I'm not into those. But I think it's really interesting how you wrote down, like, I know what I need to do to change, start it, and then stop. Like, that is the definition of this work. I have a bookshelf of personal development books that I have started and not finished.
Because I think with me, and I think like a lot of people go through this, is that if you feel like you screw it up, you just give up. I find sometimes, like, I've been working a lot on that, but that's why it even led me to the mentorship, and that's why I'm getting a lot better with it. But sometimes, especially with the money, more so with the money, it's like, if I just have one bad day, or I buy stupid things, I just go in the downward spiral. Like, you suck, this and that. It's like very extreme. So hence the haunted house image. But no, this is exactly what I need to do, and be like, okay, if we go in the house, we're just going to take one little step, one day at a time.
Yeah.
And deal with it.
So maybe you could relate that to every time you make a mistake and spend too much money, like, look at that as some jackass jumped out with a fake chainsaw and is scaring the shit out of you. And then you freeze, and then he's going to go away. Exactly. And then you can keep walking forward.
Exactly.
And that's so interesting because I know a lot of people struggle with food in the same way. They want to eat healthier, and they and eat an entire cheese pizza or donuts or whatever it is. And then I call it like a case of the fuck-its, let me ask you, do you do that? Do you just go into the beating yourself up, or do you continue to spend more?
A bit of both, I would say, but probably more beating myself up. Definitely. Beating yourself up. Which I think leads to, and then it's like, then it leads to more like stupid. My husband calls me a purchaseaholic. I'm not a shopaholic. Okay. I'm a purchaseaholic. And even I have to say that, actually, now that I say that out loud, I think I have to say to him, like, we need to change the language of how you refer to me with money, like with that, because I think that is also, he doesn't mean harm by it, of course, but
sure.
But now that I hear that, I'm like, you know what? That needs to change, because if that's kind of how he views me, then maybe be like, hey, instead of calling me a purchaseaholic, why don't you call me to a work in progress with finance?
Doesn't have the same ring to it, but I love it way better. And I want you to ask him that when you're wearing your paper crown of money.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to make this crown. I am so excited. I'm going to wear this like all day.
Please send us a picture of it.
Totally. I am done. I'm going to start it right now, actually, after this call.
I love that. Okay. Well, I'm curious, because something is happening, and this is something, this might be like a whole different conversation, but science does tell us that we get a dopamine hit every time we either put something in our cart or click buy now, or like those types of behaviors are there's an entire science behind, like, people get paid a lot of money to study the psychology of purchasing. So marketers can pay them so they can understand people's purchasing behaviors to be able to capitalize on that.
Absolutely.
So you're getting a dopamine hit every time you are purchasing something and putting it in your cart. And I'm curious, what you might want to journal about, because this might not be something that you can answer right now, or maybe it is what are you looking for when you are purchasing something? Like, what is it that you're really hungry for?
I definitely have to reflect on that one, because I had a feeling this would go there, because it's true. It's like, I'm doing it for a purpose, whether it's just like, I have to definitely reflect on that, because there's clearly something deeper going on as to why I feel I have to do that.
And it might be something that you think about the next time you're shopping sort of aimlessly, because there are some things where we're like, oh, I need to buy toilet paper. Like, I don't think that's the same thing. It's if you're shopping for clothes that you don't really need, if you're shopping for something that you have something already similar in your closet.
Yeah.
Or whatever your habits are that you beat yourself up over, like, give us an example.
It's just like, I think it starts with boredom, and then it's because I don't have any like social media, so I don't engage in it. So I feel like this is like a different kind of fix than what what social media would be. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of, and then, I'll just go on like, exactly. Or I'll be like, okay, I need this. So I like legitimately need something. And then I get totally distracted and end up with 10 more things in my cart than just the one. So it's very mindless. I will say that there's no thought process going on as to what, well, I shouldn't say there's no thought process, but sometimes you just get sucked in. You're just scrolling through the site. Oh, I could use these pair of fuzzy socks because I love fuzzy socks.
Who doesn't?
Like, because Canada, like our winters are bad, right? So it's like, well, I need another pair, even though I have 25 of them.
Because I'm Canadian.
Yeah, I'm Canadian, and they have a maple leaf on it. So why not? Let's add another 10 socks there. So it's very mindless, but it's just, I don't know if it's just like a pleasurable thing. It's just like, put that.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something at all if you don't purchase something?
I would say that, yeah. Because I know it's exactly what you said. It is a dopamine hit. It is. And it's like, well, if I don't like engage in that, if I don't tap into that, then what? Then I'm going to be like, oh, awesome. I feel like crap again. Or like, I'm bored. And there's definitely something going on there for sure. And I need to decipher it. But I would say a lot of it is from boredom. Like, I'll just be like, okay, everything's cool. I'm good. Let's just go like on this like site and just
you need something to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Scroll through Amazon.
Yeah.
Your favorite
mindless, but there's
app.
Clearly there must be something gearing me towards that. Whether it's just like, I don't know, maybe I just want to break free of like the routine of things. Like, oh, I work hard. I deserve it. Or,
Okay. Yeah. And I know that there are experts out there that could probably talk for a half hour on this and that are specific to that. And I wonder if it would be helpful for you to, journal on what is it that you're looking for when you hit buy now? Like, what is it really that you're wanting? Because typically it's not the thing that we want. It's what we think we are going to get from it.
Yes.
So there's that. And I think you're right. It's probably boredom is part of it, but I do think that there's a little bit more underneath.
Oh, for sure.
And then my next question is I would love for you to do some kind of exercise. And you mentioned it earlier in our call where you continue to shop as you please and put things in your cart and leave it there. And the point is not just for you to stop buying stuff. The point is for you to sit in the discomfort of not clicking buy now and see what comes up.
For sure.
Are you feeling restless? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling frustrated? Like, that's what I'm curious about.
I'm feeling nervous even just leaving something in my cart right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, good. That's interesting. Yeah, no, that says a lot.
And because I'm nervous because it's a break from a behavior I've been doing. So, because you do behavior, you don't even realize that you're doing it, right? So it's very interesting. There's a lot going on over here. I'm like, oh, I have to break a pattern. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, I think it's more. And then
sometimes they send you the emails where you left stuff in your cart.
Yes.
Again, buying psychology right there. I've actually read articles on that.
I think the thought I'm having is, can I do that? Like, can I do this? I think it's because like, but this is good. I'm not saying in a bad way. It's like, yeah, okay. Like we're going to do
Yeah. No, I appreciate that you're taking us through the thoughts that are going on right now.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. So the assignment is to shop, leave stuff in the cart. What do you think would be a good assignment for you in terms of time? Do you want to leave it in your cart for 48 hours before you make the decision to go back and buy or not?
Yeah, definitely. 48 hours. That sounds good. Yeah.
So 2 days, more or less. Okay. Here's what I wrote down. You're going to shop as you normally would want to and leave stuff in your cart for 48 hours. And then from there, what do you want to do? What do you think would be helpful for you?
I have to explore why I put the thing in my cart.
Okay.
And what got me there to do that without beating myself up, of course. And regardless of whether I decide to purchase it or not, which I probably won't purchase it, but really just walk through what's going on. Like I definitely need to tap into what it is I feel I'm getting from doing that. Like, it's just, it's like, I feel like it's like, I don't want to say it might be, I don't want to say addiction because that is a strong word, but there's definitely some type of loop going on of the behavior of sitting at the computer, opening the laptop, going to the site, scrolling aimlessly because I don't want to do that anymore. It's just, and then you waste time.
It sounds like it's comforting to you.
It is.
You've created a self-soothing behavior.
Yes. Oh, wow.
That's working.
Totally. That's because I knew I was going. I'm like, there's somewhere I'm going. It's very comforting. It's like, it's like if someone likes chocolate, they open. It's
like a pacifier.
Totally. Oh, totally. Yep. My mind's just being blown right now. Don't worry. It's just.
Oh, I'm so glad. Again, like that's why I don't want you to completely pull the rug out from under yourself. And I would never say like, quit all behaviors. Like that's not working. Like you've tried that and it just kind of makes you feel worse.
Like, wah, wah, wah.
So this is just massive curiosity, not making you wrong for any of it. Just getting really interested in what's going on so you can dig deeper to hopefully, eventually to maybe find something else that's self-soothing, to have self-compassion for yourself the entire process through. I love that you're going to ask your husband to call you something else. And also just a side note, and I know that you'll do this, but for people listening, when you have the conversation with him, don't be blamey and things like that. Just say, hey, I realized something and I know that you just say this to me in jest and it's funny and I love that you tease me like this, but I think it's actually not helpful. So can we switch it to something else? And I just appreciate your open-mindedness and your willingness to be really honest with yourself and with all of us.
Yeah, totally. And actually, now that you said that, because so what's happening for the next 2 years, because I signed up for like a plan that I could take paid time off. And I want to travel. So what's going to happen is my checks are going to be cut because they have to take money from somewhere. So we've talked about this, my husband and I, and I realized that, I found even the past couple of days, like he'll be like, oh, like if you bought that, like, why didn't you tell me? And it's because like, I think he's very good with money. I will say that, but he's getting nervous about it. So, and I'll be like, why are you jumping down my throat? Like I sent you the receipt, so I think we need to talk further about that too, because it's going to be, this, I just find it's very accusatory. Like, I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying like that. Like, I feel like we both need to, because we said we want to be more transparent about things that we're spending on. And, and I do have to cut back now. I do. It's kind of like I'm forced to cut back. My check is going to be cut. So it's kind of interesting that we're having this call and then that's happening. So it's sort of like it is going to have to make me, I don't say have to make me, but because I could buy whatever I want, go into debt, but we don't want to do that.
Sure.
But I think I need to sit down with
an option
and just be like, hey, you know what? I'm doing all this work now. We are going to be transparent about it, but I just find he's getting very nervous about it because he's like, hey, we got to really cut now. So we cut it. We canceled on Netflix. There's things we've really cut out. But yeah, I think I need to talk about that deeper with him too, saying, I don't appreciate if you're like, I sent you the receipt, like we need body wash. I found it on sale. I'm like, we do need to bathe. And because I'm like, I sent him the receipt, like not in a bad way. We're just trying to track on our apps and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I need to have a further talk with him about this to be like, hey, we can't jump down each other's throats. This isn't going to help. Cause I find it triggers me. It definitely triggers me when he does that. Like when he's like, oh, why didn't you use that other visa we have to track? And I'm like, whoa, relax. Like it was body wash for $13.49 altogether.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, and I think what would be helpful in this instance is for you to give him a suggestion of how you would like it to be addressed. So instead of saying this, which makes me, then you fill in the blank with your own feelings, you could say, I would so appreciate it if you would address it like this.
Yes. Yeah.
And also acknowledge him for his own feelings of nervousness and frustration or whatever it is that he's feeling, like in order for you two to be on the same page with this amazing thing that you're both saving for and that you're going to have this amazing travel.
Yeah. So I think it's now whether we're talking out loud, I'm like, I think that because I realize, I think I'm getting triggered by that. Definitely. If it's like, and he doesn't mean to, he's just kind of like, oh, why didn't you just use that? And I get triggered. I'm like, well, I'm doing my best. And then I'll freak out on him. And I'm like, I have to look deeper into that too, because it's not, he's like, we both need to work together to not, to save for this. And, it's going to be a bit tight. We have to, so I definitely think a further conversation there has to happen for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And this is, that could open up like a whole nother conversation with you and me about different things, but I don't want to get into that because we do need to wrap up and you have plenty of work to do. Yes. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this with us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Okay, everyone, great news. I do have an update from Erica, and I cannot wait to read this to you. I got this, and I just was jumping up and down, so excited to hear this update from her. And I'm going to edit it just a little bit and kind of give you a summary, but parts of it I'm going to read, including the very beginning. Here's what she says. I first want to say thank you for your guidance and feedback in unwinding my money beliefs. After we talked, I felt like the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders. I felt pride that I was taking a deep dive into this and realized I was carrying shame in terms of how I view myself with money. This work is slowly helping me unravel the shame thought spiral and be my number one money cheerleader. As we discussed, words are very powerful. I realized all of my words I used to describe myself and money were quite negative and really hurtful. I decided that I need to work on this. If I find I am down on myself with money, I pick myself back up by saying out loud, I am the queen of a finance work in progress. It makes me laugh, but more importantly, it allows me to practice self-compassion with myself on all things money and finance. I also write out the negative thought I have on paper and refute that thought with facts. By putting the thought on paper, you have the power over it instead of the thought having power over you. This has helped me tremendously. Then Erica goes on to talk about her creative project, and she was inspired by one of Queen Elizabeth's crowns, and she made the cutest money crown. There's a picture of it in the show notes. Head over there if you want to see it. She put it on this adorable stuffed bear, and she took the Monopoly money that she made the crown, and she wrote different things on them about her money accomplishments, things that she wasn't giving herself credit for, and that, she said, was enormously helpful just to write all of that out. She goes on to say this: I did the 48 hours cart experiment and it worked very well. I would say 75% of the time I realized I didn't need what I put in there and got rid of them. The other 25% of the time I did buy the items, but it felt good buying it because a thought process went behind it. It was not mindless and aimless, which I have realized is how I purchase. I get bored, go on a website, aimlessly browse, add things to the cart, and before I know it, $200 is gone on the things I do not need. This was a wake-up call to me to be more mindful of my purchases. I will admit the black and white thoughts came back, especially after one useless purchase I made. I stopped myself, worked through it, and told myself I would do better next time. I worked on removing the guilt I had after the purchase by telling myself, it is okay. There will be times where I mess up, and I need to get back up and keep moving forward. I cannot let one mistake paralyze me and make me think the worst about myself. I do not want to do that to myself anymore. Excellent self-compassion, Erica. I'm so glad to hear that. And then the last bit of her assignment, I had asked her, what is it that you're looking for when you hit buy now? And she says, after careful reflection, I realized I was looking for a quote unquote pick-me-up, a dopamine hit to help me feel better. More importantly, I realized this is a form of numbing out for me. With what exactly? An escape from boredom, from the daily routine, wake up, go to work, come home, eat, etc. I think it is also a form of trying to make myself feel better. I am going to call it a hit of self-attention. I see the item, get excited, I buy the item, I get the item, feel good for 20 seconds, and then I am right back where I started, and then repeat. This has been a huge wake-up call for me, she says. By breaking down my behaviors and the feelings attached to these behaviors, it helped me see what is going on and has motivated me to stop this cycle from repeating. This doesn't involve saying to myself, don't buy anything, but to tune into my feelings when I get that urge to buy and ask myself, what is really going on here? What do I really need? I have found that I need to give myself a hug, followed by engaging in an activity that does not involve a credit card. Things like meditation, gratitude, walking, journaling, etc. Thanks again, Andrea. Well, thank you, Erica. You have no idea how helpful you have been to so many listeners, and I hope that those of you listening could see parts of yourself in Erica's story and her behaviors, and hopefully know that you can make progress. You can make changes by implementing the work, by taking some time to be mindful and ask yourself the big, powerful questions that I asked her during our conversation. Yay! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Erica, for being such a great example of doing the work. And to all of you, again, thank you for listening. And until next time, I will see you all out in cyberspace. Bye-bye.